Hello, and welcome to Book of the Mouse Club, episode 113, Wednesday, April 30th, 2025.
Morning, monsieur.
Where are you off to?
The bookshop. I just finished the most wonderful story about a beanstalk and an ogre and
That's nice. Marie! The baguettes! Hurry up!
I'm sorry, but how can one possibly pay attention to a book with no pictures in it?
My dear child, there are a great many good books in this world without pictures.
I almost bounced clear out of the book. Some bouncing, huh?
Come home or make myself known.
J. Thaddeus Turtle, Esquire. Have you never met him? You will find his story in this delightful little book, The Wind and the Willows.
I've come to return the book I borrowed.
Finished already?
Oh, I couldn't put it down. Have you got anything new?
Welcome back. I'm your host, Courtney, and I am joined, as always, by the Fantasyland to my Tomorrowland, my lovely co-host, Emily.
Hello, and listeners, we are taking a journey today around the Magic Kingdom, and we have a very special VIP tour guide.
Yes, joining us today is Danielle Kelly, known as the Dapper Danielle for her more than 500,000 social media followers. She has exploded into an influential personality known for creating authentic and consistent Disney-themed content. A former Disney cast member with over a decade of experience, Danielle uses her experience to illuminate the stories, people, and history that go into the most magical and happiest places on Earth. In between speaking engagements, podcast recordings, and content creations, Danielle is most likely to be at a Disney park, obsessing over Orange Bird merch and planning her next fabulous outfit. Welcome, Danielle.
When we were writing that little blurb about myself, and that's what goes out, and that's part of the book. Like when you look on Simon and Schuster's website and you're looking at like the Danielle Kelly as an author, which I never pictured having Dapper Danielle or Danielle Kelly author title anywhere ever in my life. And I was like, no, we gotta throw reference of my son in there somewhere, the Orange Bird reference.
Yes. I had Orange Bird themed stuff at my wedding, so I completely appreciate that. Little
Her
coasters.
cake
that
topper
said-
is the cutest thing.
I had little Orange Bird cake toppers and Orange You Glad We Have Each Other coasters as the gift. So you are among Orange Bird fans here.
I'm obsessed. I love it so much.
So, Danielle, you've had quite a month. You have an upcoming book release, a Spirit Jersey collab. You just had a fabulous Dapper Day. A lot of travel and content recently with your podcast co-host and friend, the magical millennial Megan Powell. Like, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm very tired, but what's amazing is that I do have a really great, well, first off, great family that's willing to support me. So Dapper mom and dad actually flew back into town here to Orlando. They flew in from Tennessee just to be my entourage and my support during Dapper Day weekend. And dad likes to say that he's the official like security guard of the Dapper family. And so he was the one forming a line and helping take photos for everybody. And then second of all, it's just the amazing followers I have and how aggressively y'all are willing to support and love. And I appreciate it. And it's just overwhelming. It really is the boost to keep going with my crazy schedule that's currently happening. And it's just going to get even busier as the next couple months keep going. So I can't wait.
So we are here to celebrate that because your book, I Love Disney's Magic Kingdom, releases on May 13th. We are very thankful to Simon & Schuster for providing us with a copy to read ahead of time. We have lots of fun questions about the book content, but we want to start at your roots. Emily and I are both former cast members as well. Emily worked with a lot of different friends in entertainment during her college program, and I worked at the iconic Space Mountain during mine. And we learned that you were a fairy godmother in training at the bibbidi-bobbidi boutique for almost a decade. So how did you find yourself in the boutique, and what did you love about your fairy godmother in training time?
Well, I worked in multiple different roles while I was a cast member and a frontline cast member. But transferring into being a fairy godmother at the Bibbidi-Bobbidi Boutique, I was coming from the world of recreation. And I was like, oh, this is fun. I get to be outside. I get to hang out with all these different guests and meet people from all over the world. But I really wanted a more intimate conversation with our guests and to really hear and pour into them with stories and storytelling, because I don't look like a Disney princess, but I can be a fairy godmother and I could just put glitter on everything for like every single day. And it was such an amazing time. But I was there from well, specifically, I was a fairy godmother at the World of Disney store in downtown Disney, and I was part of the team that moved the fairies in World of Disney into the cottage location when it became Disney Springs. And but I always picked up at the castle, and I'm still very familiar with many of the fairy siblings that are still over in the castle today. But yes, I love my time as a cast member, and it's like a lot of those stories and little tiny tidbits I learned are definitely in the book too.
Oh yeah.
Transitioning into that, you got your start on, or what blew up for you over social media was your videos in your car at the end of a shift telling you things late at night about Disney World that you don't want to know, but I'm going to tell you anyway. How did you transition from cast members sharing magical moments in your car at the end of a shift to where you are now, writing books, collaborations, podcasts? How did that transition happen?
Honestly, I think a lot of it is because when I started my content, it was still very much the cast member focused, Danielle, and everything. But when I first got started in making my content, it was for my cast members. It was because a CP during one of our virtual hangs when the world was shut down said, Danielle, you're like really smart and you should like film this and put it online. And I was like, okay. So I started doing these videos and it grew from there. And I just kept doing it. It was just the consistency of it and just staying true to myself and staying true to this and focusing on the obscure history that I really thought was I looked at certain random stories. I'm like, that is so interesting. I bet people don't know anything about this. So I went in, I made a video, and some videos did really well. And I think that's really why Simon and Schuster kind of found me. And they're the ones that reached out and they're like, hey, we like your bite-sized information that you do in your videos. Do you want to try to translate that into a book? And I said, yes, because then all of my information is compiled into one location instead of it being random videos that you're gonna have to keep down scrolling in and or doom scrolling even just to be able to find some of my older bits. Like some of the stuff I talked in the book is from 4 years ago when I first started online, and that I just haven't had a chance to re-record and repost about it again, but it's now back in the book.
Very accessible. So, what skills do you feel transferred well from content creating to moving it into a book?
A lot of it is the storytelling element. And because when you are a content creator and you're making videos, it has to be engaging. And a lot of it is storytelling. Most of my stuff is history based and some like fun facts and some like tips and tricks. But being able to connect a story and trying to communicate some of my verbiage and how I say things into text, it really was what made it flow the best, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And it comes through in the book. I think what I specifically enjoy is how you've laid it out land by land. And as a family who started in Adventureland, I feel like
Always.
we you went the
Thank
right
you.
We
way.
always go
around.
left.
This was something like when we were talking and we were in the editing phase of the book, and they're like, okay, so we're going to start in Tomorrowland. I'm like, no, we're not. Absolutely, we're not. We're starting over in Adventureland. And they're like, but everybody else starts in Tomorrowland. I'm like, yes, and they're wrong.
That's the
Listen,
tip number one.
tip number one. And so everything in my book, once you go and you go through and you're reading it, you're starting in Adventureland and you're following around that way. And one of the key things when I was talking with the editing team, and they're just like, okay, but why? And I was like, science. And they're like, what? I said, the number one reason why is because the way that the sun rises and sets. So that way it's rising over in Tomorrowland, it sets over in Adventureland, and that way, did I say that right? Yes. So that way, when you are in Fantasyland at the hottest point of the day, you have places to go in and hide, the most inside attractions, the most inside queues. And then when you're exiting, the sun's at your back when you're moving around the park was the main reason why. And I was like, yeah, that, and they were like, oh, that's so interesting. I'm like, yeah, it really is.
That
Can't
was
argue with science.
fascinating to me because my family, it was never a science reason. We didn't think that expertly as you did. For us, it was always, old days of pre-Fast Pass.
Right.
Everyone went to Space Mountain first. So Space Mountain's line would always be the longest. So we would go left where no one was going and work our way opposite of where most of the crowds were because everyone wanted to knock those out first. And in the days of paper fast passes, everyone would run to Space Mountain first to get their paper fast pass for later. Well, we would go hit up the entire left side of the park and then move over. I had no idea about the sun. that floored me. So we just innately knew something. I don't know, but we always followed the opposite of where crowds went because Tomorrowland was always where the most thrilling attraction was. So everyone went there first.
Right. And then
Because
the
it's the best
people,
attraction.
oh, well, that too. And I think a lot of people, when they come and they visit the parks for the very first time, and that's something like first time park goers, they don't realize that they're just following the crowd. Where a
Yeah.
lot of people, if they know what attraction they're hitting and they are going to maybe Space Mountain first, then they're running over that way. The rest of the crowd automatically is just veering to the right in the way of traffic. Right. So I'm like, no, 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 we're going to challenge that mindset and we're going to start at the left.
And you want a Dole Whip to start the day. It's the perfect breakfast.
I mean, accurate.
It's juice. It's fruit juice. So one of the cool things about laying out your book, not only with going land by land, but also the icons and how you broke it up. Like you said, that chunking that you think makes this really accessible. So how do you go about laying that out visually in your book? Like things that are like extra magic is outlined, but then you have a different
Oh,
icon for each, like food versus a fun fact versus a tip. Like how did that come together?
well, this was kind of the idea for the entire series moving forward. So, spoiler alert, yes, there are going to be other books coming out here very, very soon. And this was kind of just the idea of let's categorize this so that people that are in the park and are actively on a mission, they can flip through whatever section they're in and try to see if they can find something that's helpful a little more quickly and a little more like in the middle of the go. But then it's still laid out in a way that if you are just reading it casually at home, you can just go through it slowly and then you're like, "Oh, maybe I'll make a note of that for next time I'm in the park," you know?
I do want to say to listeners who can't see right now, but the book is Loungefly size. So it does fit in your
Exactly.
park bag. And that I thought was very cool. Once we got our hands on a physical copy, I was like, oh, it's so it is guidebook size and it's so cute. And it does
But
fit in a Loungefly.
I also love this is your ASMR moment, y'all. It is a hardback also.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I love that because then I actually had this in my lounge fly earlier when I went to Magic Kingdom. I took some photos. You'll be seeing them later over here on the socials. And I was like, oh, this is great. So that way I'm not actually like bending my book. It's not getting damaged. So I really loved the size and the cover for that exact reason. I'm so happy you pointed that out. You noticed that.
It scratched such a fun itch and gave me a lot of nostalgia. When I was a kid, there were these Imagineering field guides that had a lot of trivia in them.
Nice.
And like my highest compliment is that it reminded me of that. And I was the little nerd kid like who would be in line reading the trivia guide with my pal Mickey by my side. So I hope that listeners will get a chance to bring it to the parks, but also if you're you need a little Disney fix in the meantime, you can absolutely read it that way as well.
Fabulous. And I also grew up reading those same books too. So when I was picking out trivia and things to focus on, I'm like, okay, I still want to make a nod to a lot of those numbers and some of
Yes.
those facts, but also let's point out some of the details in the park and some of the show elements that maybe other books haven't really focused on. And I really try to squeeze in as many as I could into the book.
Yeah, we let's jump over there in our questions. We really enjoyed all of the extra magic. So one, we would like to know, how you've amassed all of this magic over the years. And then I think another high compliment from us is even as longtime Disney fans, avid Disney readers, we learned some things. So we jotted down what we learned from you as well. But we'll turn it over
Ooh.
to you first.
How did I learn all these things? I don't know either because for some people, like they learn or they remember like actors' names. I can't remember actors' names for the life of me. Or they remember music or like musicians or can do any of those other things. Sports in general. That's just not how my brain works. My brain works in obscure random Disney knowledge in the storytelling. And a lot of that comes from my time being a cast member and I would pick up shifts all over the Disney world, literally. And I would go and find those cast members that had been with the company for 40, 50 years. And I would go up to them while they were on break. And I'm like, hi, you don't know me. I'm just a little full-timer and low seniority. I want to know your entire story. And they would tell like some of the best amazing things that they got to witness in the parks. And I remember when back in this day, this was a thing. And I really did retain a lot of that information.
Yeah, no, it just soak it up like a sponge. I'm sure you kill at Disney trivia when they're ever
And, you
done
know,
with
but
it.
I don't know. I feel like in Disney trivia, I'd kind of panic sometimes.
Oh, like you just go
Yeah.
blank.
I go blank and I'm just like, I don't know the name. I don't know the date, but I can tell you the emotional backstory of it and the color of the thing, but I can't tell you the date or the name.
Right. Like someone's gonna come to you like, who is the CEO in this year? And you're like,
I can tell you the
Let me go like this.
architectural style of what he was really famous for. Yeah, I
Michael
can do that.
Graves. No, is the architect deep
Exactly.
cut there. Emily, do you have some on your list? And I'll pull up mine as well.
some that I loved. So I really latched on to the Ben and Me shout outs that are in Liberty Tree Tavern for a couple reasons. One, I am a social studies teacher, so like love that. Two, I sometimes think Ben and Me was a fever dream that like no one knows what that is. And I watched it all the time. I'm also from the suburbs of Philadelphia, so like Ben Franklin everywhere, everything.
Oh, absolutely.
And but like I don't think people know that one. So sometimes when I see stuff, I'm like, yes, it was Disney. It did exist. And I loved Liberty Tree Tavern as a kid. It was my favorite restaurant. First times that I went there, it was when it was still character dining. So like Minnie and Mickey in their
Wow.
colonial gear, their garb, and it was just so much fun. And I got the souvenir mug, and I thought it was the coolest little 8-year-old with like a beer stein for some reason. That had Liberty Tree Tavern. It was my cup at home. Like people knew, like you don't touch Emily's cup. Liberty
That
Tree
is
Tavern mug is hers.
amazing.
So I really latched on to that, all the little nods to Ben and Me that are in um the restaurant. And I haven't been in a while. It was 2 or 3 trips ago was the last time I ate there. And before then, it's been a long time because it's such family style that when you go on with like two people, it's not really sometimes the place you want to go. Um,
Right. The reservations have been ridiculously
hard,
hard to get here recently.
but it's my partner's favorite. He was
Mm.
going strong for 50s prime time for a while. He likes comfort food. He's a Southern boy.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then I gave him a Thanksgiving dinner in July, and he was so happy.
And he's like, "Where have you been? The ooey gooey toffee cake."
Yes.
Oh, like I understand that. That does
So
change your opinions.
he's a Marine, so anything Americana, he's like all about it. So he was just all about Liberty Square. And he's like,
Nice.
how have you never brought me here before? I was like, you did, but your first trip you were a little overwhelmed. Second trip, he caught on to more details.
Oh.
I introduced him to Disney, so that was fun. Of like he had never been as a kid. Um, but yeah, so second trip around, I was like, we're gonna explore more food, and Liberty Sea Tavern is now his favorite. So I loved hearing about Ben and Me, and one of my favorite, my childhood all came out in that section. I was very, very excited.
And see, that's such a great detail. So I mean, literally the figurine is mouse, like literal mouse
Yeah,
size, and he's only like 3, 4 inches tall. He's
he's got a
hidden
little
on the top
tricorn
of a
hat,
bookshelf. He's so cute.
and I've
But
never seen it. I don't know, like, I don't know how long that's been there. It must have been there when I was a kid, and I never noticed.
well, I know actually it's something newer that was installed into the
Really?
park because I was walking around Liberty Square. It was like right before the restaurant closed, and this was like maybe 2, 3 years ago. And I was just talking to a cast member that was standing there at the front door, and I was like, you know what? I'm looking for some inspiration for a random Disney thing. And she's like, well, have you seen the mouse? And I was like, what are you talking about? You're like
Not
Amos.
Mickey.
And I was like, show me. So they walked me in. There was nobody over there because the restaurant was literally about to close. And he's just sitting there on the very top of the shelf.
I have to go
And
look. Oh my gosh.
oh, he's so cute. So when you're heading in, it's of course the dining room onto the left. I believe it is right up there past the stairs, a little tiny bookshelf. He's hidden up there in the Benjamin Franklin area. It's so
Oh,
great.
so cute. And if no one's ever seen Ben and Me, it is on Disney Plus.
It
I
is.
highly recommend it. It's so cute.
Yeah, I also love little Easter eggs with that. I think that was one of my favorite things discovering and uncovering as a kid. So there were some new to me, like over in the dressing room for when you meet Mickey in Town Square. There's a crystal ball on the top shelf, engraved Leota crystals, model 1969. So I will be looking for that. But in addition to Easter eggs, just a lot of great history in here. Something I didn't know about was the deep connection between Walt Disney and Erebus Brothers. I've certainly seen the shops throughout, I
Yes.
think, nearly every park. I know there's one in Epcot, Magic Kingdom.
Hmm.
I feel like there's probably others, but we're focusing on Magic Kingdom here. But if I can share a passage, You wrote that during their time at the World's Fair, Walt Disney became fascinated by the brothers' work, so much so that Walt offered them a spot to open their first store inside Disneyland. They accepted his offer, and with a third brother, opened their Disneyland store in 1967 and their Magic Kingdom location in 1971. The rest is history, and now there are Rebus Brothers stores in every Disney park around the world. So yeah, that was completely brand new to me, something I pass nearly every trip if you're walking right down the middle of Main Street, USA. But to know the deep lore, I now have a newer appreciation for that shop.
It is amazing. And what I love about the Magic Kingdom location also is that when you go into, and I wasn't able to fit this into the portion of the book, but a nice little blurb to add on to that is that when you're looking at the windows right there, and there's that beautiful piece of glass off to the left window at the main front door, and it kind of looks like the Cinderella Castle, but like a woven glass style.
Yeah.
I believe that is the Erebus brothers like Spanish technique, and that is made by one of the grandsons that is an Erebus.
Oh,
And
nice.
so he still works in Magic Kingdom, but
Wow.
he doesn't have any apprentices right now. So when he passes on, there's nobody else learning that style anymore. So that trade might die with him, and it still exists in Magic Kingdom for a very limited time right now.
Amazing.
Oh, wow. That's really
Isn't that
special.
Little
crazy?
extra tidbit. Thank you. Book of
Yeah.
Mouse Club exclusive.
Courtney, there were a couple in Tomorrowland that I was curious if you knew.
Oh, okay. Test me.
That there was a John Hench connection in Space Mountain. Okay, I'm just double checking.
With the lights on, that's the only way to see it.
Yes, I had to walk the main lift we walked the track every night, picking up all the lost items every single evening. That was part of my closing shift. But yes, a very wonderful fitting tribute to John Hench, who was integral into Space Mountain's creation. So I was happy to see that.
And the other one was the ticket booth that's in Tomorrowland. I had something listed there.
Oh, and there's a few throughout the other lands as well.
So the ticket booths always fascinate me. The first time we went to Disneyland, with Marcy Carricker Smothers' book, she points out a lot of the original ticket booths, and that's such a piece of park history that's just gone. We don't use tickets anymore. So I love that, and to see how we've transformed ticket booths throughout the parks into something else. But I know that was such a staple of like Disneyland, and I knew to look for them in Disneyland, but I didn't think to look for them in Magic Kingdom. And of course, duh, we were using tickets too, but it never stood out to me, these hidden ticket booths in all the different lands.
Well, and I feel like, so I think the one in Tomorrowland is really the last one standing in Magic Kingdom as of like the past, like post COVID. And I think there's a remnants of one that's still over. Is it over in Frontierland?
I think you mentioned that. Is that the Westward Ho breakfast location? Or am I
Maybe
combining my facts?
No, you're
It's
probably
jam-packed.
correct. But it was like one of those things of like, okay, which ones have been refurbed into a different location, or have they just been completely abandoned or completely torn down? Disneyland still has a lot of just like empty blanked out carts still, and you can tell it definitely looks like a ticket booth. But I loved how that one's just so subtly there, and DVC has taken it over in Tomorrowland, and it just looks like a really cool piece of architecture. But what it once was is so cool to think about.
Very fun reminiscence throughout. I wanted to circle back to your publisher found you, which is so amazing. Congrats, living the dream there.
Thank you.
As a first-time author, was there anything that surprised you about the publishing process itself? We kind of like to pull back the curtain on that.
Yes, a lot.
Yeah.
Because when you're presenting this information, and there's so much misinformation also in the theme park community, right?
Yeah.
So I would write something and I would talk about something, and I'm like, okay, do you have facts to back this up with? Do you have articles and all this other stuff? Because we can't find anything about this online. So I literally have a collection of Disney magazines, the Disney magazine that was posted and created like from the 60s and 70s and up through the early 90s. So I was like, yes, here's an article. And I literally pull out the magazine from 1982 and I flip it open to the article, right? And I'm like, this is your proof. This is written by Disney. This is an official Disney article. And like, okay, that's good. Or how much you search up something, especially with the new Google AI, whatever, you search a key phrase and then it pops up something over in Disneyland. Like, for example, Westward Ho, the little cart over there, over in Frontierland that used to serve McDonald's fries once upon a
Yep.
time. They were like, "Oh, that's not the correct name. It's this." And I'm like, "No, no, no. That's the Disneyland version." Ours, it wasn't Westward Ho. Ours was literally just called the Frontierland Fry Cart. And they're like, "Yeah, but if you search that, it's this name." I'm like, "It was only Disneyland." And I had to pull up a map
Yeah.
from what was it? Like 98. And I was like, it literally just says Frontierland Fry Cart. That was the name. It's not very creative. It was just here. And they're like, okay. So it's been a lot of like not having to prove myself, but definitely being ready for when the editing team has questions. And some of the other big issues was already being out of date with information. Like you go through this whole editing process, try to stay so up to date with everything. And one thing in particular is over in Jungle Skipper Canteen, the dessert I referenced, I talk so highly about, was just discontinued
No.
2 weeks ago.
Oh no.
And I just
A
ate there during
moosh.
Dapper Day for Magic Kingdom Day. And I went in and I'm looking at the menu and I'm like, okay, luckily everything I talked about is mostly still here. Everything's fine. But the main thing, the congaloosh dessert, is gone. And the whole section is called congaloosh. Like,
It happens.
my editing team doesn't know that yet, so that's another exclusive just for y'all.
Surprise.
But so it'll be funny to see, like, okay, when people get the book and then they go into Jungle Skipper Canteen, they can still get all these different things. But then if they wanted to try the congaloosh, like, are they going to present the book and be like, well, Dapper Danielle said you had it?
You're gonna single-handedly bring it back because people are gonna be like,
I was just
"Excuse
thinking
me."
about the noodles at Ohana when the Ohana
Yeah.
noodles went and like everyone freaked out. If there's a collective movement on socials, they might bring it back, and
And
you
it's
could
all
be
going to be because of the Dapper Danielle book.
Well, don't feel too bad because you're in excellent company. Ridley Pearson, the author of The Kingdom Keepers, had shared with us that he had to rewrite the like newer editions of it because the original texts, they're like a sacred text. The original text referenced Maelstrom as like a major plot point. There
Yes.
were a lot of attractions that, he was writing these books. Now they're celebrating the first one, I think like 20 years ago. So much has changed, and he ended up
he rewrote
redoing
the
that
entire
original series
5 books, just changing attraction names and locations and what
to
things
be up
look
to date.
like.
Because
Isn't
kids
that
were showing up
crazy?
like, I want to go on Maelstrom, and they're like, sorry, we got
Like,
lost.
oh no, the Vikings aren't here no more, but you can
No.
let it go. Like, let
Let
it
it
go, just like the Vikings.
So I know that's probably incredibly frustrating, but you were in good company, and you never
Okay,
know.
that just make me
Things
feel a little bit
But
better.
a cake can
things
come back.
Yeah, a cake
I
is
don't
way
know if we
easier
can
to bring
change
back.
Maelstrom again, but we can bring
I don't
back
know that we
cake.
need to, but that's my hot
Accurate.
take. Very fun.
So you just referenced, things are ever changing. Do you think there could be a new edition down the line where you
Oh,
want to
there
update things?
There definitely will be. So when you were probably going through and reading it, you probably will notice that I skipped Tom Sawyer's Island and I also skipped mention of the Liberty Bell, which broke my heart. But knowing the construction that's literally going to be starting later on this year, I was like, you know what? I think we need to go ahead and skip this. And then when we come back here in a year and a half, maybe two, when stuff starts slowly reopening up, with whatever new cars things we get, whenever Villains Land opens, that's going to totally change the dynamic and the feel of that entire land. Certain parts of the book are going to have to be readdressed and redone. And
Yeah,
with
that makes sense.
the new information and updates coming for Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin,
Yeah, I get some new
like
scoring
Yeah.
tips. Who knows
whole
what's
new
gonna happen
scoring tips,
there?
and like the scoring system itself could change. And I have a whole thing in there about the hey, match
Back of
up
the
what a
hand.
galactic hero and all your scores are.
Yeah,
Courtney is great
we'll
at that
see.
attraction. I am terrible.
Okay, I got stuck the other day. Sorry, no, temporarily paused. The other day I was with my mom and her sister, my aunt, and I put them in their own car because nobody wants to play with me because I will get
Every time. She
999,000
maxes
reviews.
out every time.
But for the first time ever, because we were stopped, I maxed out both score things because I got stopped at the back of the robot's hand, maxed out one, and I was like, well, I'll just play the other, and was able to finish that before the end of the ride. So
So we
two-time champion.
we also got stopped. Literally, not this past weekend, the weekend before, I was with my family. We got stopped and we were in the tunnel room, right?
Yes.
Where they have the projection screens for Zerg. And the lights came on and the guardrails came up. And I screamed,
It's
"Yeah,
terrifying.
we're gonna be that." And then when the lights came off afterwards and we started moving again, no. Oh, and I was the only one that was excited and so upset for the ride to get moving again. I just want to
It's
be evac so badly.
I have like an evac wish list for sure.
Do you
Oh my God.
really?
I think
Oh, for
yeah. Well,
sure.
having worked attractions, I'm like, yes, the process. Certainly, it happens assisted
Right?
with Space Mountain. But I did get evac'd off of Indiana Jones once at Disneyland. And
The
that
life to
was
live. I'm so jealous
that
of
was up
you.
there. I think I'd really like, Haunted Mansion, Tiana's Bayou, anything where I can like
Ooh.
get out of water and then like walk along the side is
Even
appealing
if it's just for
to
a few
me.
steps until we get to the
Yeah,
backstage door,
yeah,
just to say that I did
I
it.
did it. Checklist all there.
I would love to evac Spaceship Earth
Oh yes, but I want to be on the backwards part and go down the
and
stairs.
The
see all
steps.
the
Yeah.
yeah, and see all the remnants of previous
Oh,
edition.
No, because they're there. The holes are there on purpose so that way cast members can peek in with a flashlight for those backstage tours and you can see those creepy doll faces. They're still there.
let's dig into backstage a little bit. You mentioned the utilidors and says somebody who on my 16th birthday, because that is how old you have to be to take the keys to the Kingdom tour.
Yes.
That was my birthday present. I was
Yep.
waiting. You highly recommend that tour. Why do you think people are so obsessed with utilidors?
Guys, it's like taking a step behind the curtain to see how it all happens because like we know that we all know that there's one Mickey Mouse, right?
Yes.
But how does Mickey Mouse travel so quickly? And it is truly because of the utilidors. And I even when I worked there and I picked up shifts over in Magic Kingdom, I loved, okay, well, to be all honest, I was late to work all the time. So imagine Dapper Danielle in a fairy godmother outfit, right? Purple halo being pinned onto my head as I'm running in a dress, hiking it up in my non-slip sneakers, running through the utilidor to get to the castle stairs. And I actually accidentally ran into a Keys of the Kingdom tour at once upon a time. And I was because they were standing right there. They stand in the middle hallway to say, hey, you go down this way. And then there's this section over to the right. This is how you get towards Frontierland. And this is New Fantasyland. And I full on was sprinting because I had like 2 minutes to clock in. And I was like, sorry, gotta run. I'm late for a very important date. Trying to stay in character
Yes.
as I'm like running by. Oh, good times. But yeah, I had to mention the utilidors because it was so important to my job at the time.
Yeah.
I have a utilidor. Fun fact. So Space Mountain is not connected to the utilidor. It is built outside the berm of the park, meaning on the other side of the train track. So getting to Space Mountain and running late, not only would you arrive as you described for cast members backstage, I would pop up at Stitch's Great Escape, may it rest in peace,
Mm,
hustle my way across the land. And the rule was because you had to cross the train tracks. If the train was leaving the station at its like 8 miles an hour all the way down in Storybook Circus, had to wait for safety. Safety begins with me
right.
until the train passed. So stand there, wave to the guests, and then cross the tracks and head into Space Mountain from the backside. So
I'm gonna get a 0.5 point reduction because I
just
got stuck by the train.
had to wave. It was fun though. I think it made me closer to my fellow cast members at Space Mountain because our break room was in the mountain. I remember during training you get an hour for lunch, and they took us to the Mouse Cafeteria and they said you will never come back here because it
No.
is a 7 minute
Way too
walk if
far.
you're hustling. That's 14 minutes of your 30-minute lunch. So we had nice little vending machines and TV and a fun break room. So I think
Good
it did make me
times.
very close to my fellow college program participants. And I'm still repping Space Mountain. Our friends can't see it, but I just realized I was wearing a Space Mountain
Yeah, you are.
sweatshirt.
That it was just a pullover, right? That one was
Yeah,
really
it's so
cute.
comfy. My desk at my day job now is filled with Space Mountain trinkets. So
That's amazing. I
gotta
love that.
remember where you came from.
Yes.
I also don't think people realize it's not a utilidor like the one in Magic Kingdom, but Epcot has one as well. There are
Yes.
some tunnels that go underneath to go, particularly around Spaceship Earth and back there, because the cast member entrance and costuming back there is actually pretty, it's weird. Like when you're a guest, it takes so long to go from the front of the park to Mexico. But then
Right.
when you are in costuming, you are literally between, like I can go 5 minutes and I'm in Mexico, and I can go 5 minutes and I'm in the front of the park. Like it's very odd placement, but Mickey and Minnie have a lot of costumes. So sometimes when I had to move some of their wardrobe change to some of their locations to go meet with friends, I had to take a golf cart because there were so many costumes for them to change
Yes.
into.
Excellent.
We had to have, yeah, Minnie needs, her outfits for around the world, and she needs her polka dot dress for meeting characters in the front of the park. And you see, there's just so many ins and outs of Disney that just make it work, and it's in those details that makes it so fascinating.
Oh yeah.
But I do get asked a lot, like the number one thing when I say, like, yeah, I used to work in Disney World, like in the first, if it's not the first question, it's in the first three of, did you go in the tunnels? Yes.
Right.
Always the
I went in the
tunnels
tunnels.
too.
I'm like, you can go too, take the tour.
Right. And I even after working there and being like separated from like Magic Kingdom life, I still think like, oh, the tunnels, we hate them, but we also love them at the same time. Like I know Tomorrowland, y'all, the smell over there from the HVAC
Fortunately,
system.
I have a deviated septum, so I don't have a very strong sense of
Oh, so
smell.
you
But
were
I
fine
was
walking over
fine.
there
Maybe
by
that's why they put me
Galactic
there.
Grill
They're like,
or not Galactic
she's
Grill.
good. Cosmic Rays.
No,
Cosmic
Yes.
Rays.
the
Talking
part of the
Disneyland.
utilidor that took you towards the Crystal Palace,
Oh,
because that's where food came down. It did not smell great over
it
there.
did not. But
Not
yeah,
so
I see.
great.
I don't think I didn't put this in there because I didn't get too much into the HVAC system that the waste and the debris. So go for those that don't know, the HVAC system is basically the trash compactor system where trash would shoot over top of your head through the utilidor over to the very back of the park. And fun fact, trash moves faster than you do on Space Mountain.
Oh wow. Yeah, I guess you're
Yes,
right. No.
Did
it
not know that.
does.
That does make sense though.
You've mentioned now a few times some facts that didn't make the cut. How did you go about that process determining like, well, I'm gonna put this in, or all right, I have to, strike some of my darlings here.
I mean, some of it was, okay, how can I make this book something that maybe even a first time reader or maybe somebody that's never been to the Magic Kingdom would still understand? Because there's so many little fun details that are very much embedded into Disney culture that I can't explain it without you physically being there in the
Yeah.
park or having come from cast member life. Like I can't just say, "Oh, hey, the trash in the camp song." For whenever they were moving that one thing over there in the utilidors. I can't put that in there because it's only for a cast member specific reference. Um or or even like I don't know. So it's some of it I did put a lot of like fun facts and trivia things in there. And the editorial team, they would come through and they're like, Danielle, that seems a little too niche. And Ian Wilson, my brother-in-law, who helped me on this book too, he's labeled as a co-writer, and he was really my editorial. Like he is a Disney kid, and he
Mhm.
experienced Disney, but I would write these things, and then he would hold my hand and be like, Danielle, let's tone it down a little bit. Let's bring it back a little bit. Or when the editorial team is like, okay, we need to cut this for spacing. And I'd be like, no, those numbers are important. And then Ian's like, no, Danielle, let it go. Just be like Elsa, let it go. And so yeah, that's why some things got cut was because they were a little too niche.
But we can still find them on your content over on your socials.
Exactly.
So we want to talk about some of those park pointers because they're great. And between the three of us, I'm sure we have a lot of park pointers we could share. So
Mhm.
we already talked about going left. What would you say is like park pointer number two for you before we share some
Water.
of ours?
Hydrate.
Drink water.
So much
Hydrate
water.
before you dehydrate. Did I put that in there or did that get cut from editing? I think I should try to make the
You
title of
mentioned
it.
hydrating.
Okay, like in the hydrating section, I'm pretty sure I put in there hydrate before you dehydrate as the title, and they said we can't use the word dehydrate because it's not technically a word. I'm like, it is a Disney culture. Okay. Uh, um, and I didn't until I was writing that section, I didn't realize the lack of water stations in Adventureland.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, I didn't
So
think
when
about
I was in there and I was going through Adventureland, and that's where I ended up putting right there in the very beginning of the book, the section about staying hydrated. I was like, these are the locations where you can go up and get a cup of water while you're in this land, because there are some fountains, but so many people are so against Florida swamp water. I personally love the taste of Florida swamp water, but they would rather have something filtered out of one of the Coke machines. And so I list in there a couple of like locations. Go to this counter, go to this counter, and then you can get your cup of water to stay hydrated.
Wonderful. Emily, do you have tips that you'd like to
So I
share?
have one related to water. I always tell people never buy water. You can get it for
No.
free. And it irks me. So my mother is this person who she will buy Dasani water. I'm like, why are you paying $5 a water?
And
Why? And
it's
my sister's the
Dasani.
same.
Like if you're going to be picky about water.
My sister's the same. It's about taste or something. And I was like, but I don't care what it tastes like when it's free.
100%.
If it is free, that's, how many bottles of water are you going to buy? That could be 4 pins.
When it's 98 degrees and humid, that water is going to taste delicious and even better because it's free.
So
Exactly.
I always my number one is I'm like, don't buy water. It's if you're trying to save money, do not buy water because there are plenty of places. My other two, other than going left, is always take the ferry. I'm team ferry. You will get into the Magic Kingdom faster because it can hold so many more people. It's so much more scenic. I love the
Oh, yeah.
monorail. Por favor, manténgase alejando de las puertas. I'm all about it. But it takes so much longer to leave the park and get into the park if you take the monorail. Get on the ferry. If you're waiting in a line, you will 100% be on the next one because it can take almost 200 people at a time versus one monorail craziness. And then my other one is always, I love getting dinner reservations after fireworks and go to the
Yes.
as far back in the park as you can.
Oh
Like
my gosh, yes.
Beauty and the Beast, um, get a dinner reservation for last one of the night because then you get to walk out of the park with less crowds and see everything just so beautifully lit up and like take your time. That's my tip for like any park. Getting the last cantina reservation in Star Wars, and then you get to walk all through all the parks.
It's great.
It's beautiful, and you
Or
get
the
that nice
last
picture.
reservation in the Japan Pavilion of Epcot, and then
Oh,
you're walking all the way through World Showcase to the very front and just looking at the Epcot ball in all her glory. And you're just like, ah, the prettiest girl in
and it's
school.
a beautiful 30-minute walk. Like it will take you
It is.
that much time. So those are like my top three outside of ones that you already mentioned in your book.
Mine was
Good
for,
choice.
I think if you're doing a trip where you're going to Magic Kingdom maybe multiple days or you're a repeat visitor to Magic Kingdom, go do stuff during the fireworks. Make sure you see the fireworks once, but like that is the wait time at Space Mountain would drop. But I believe, Danielle, you point out it was either, I want to say Big Thunder or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So magical to
Oh,
ride those as the fireworks are going
Oh
off.
yeah.
Like that's such a beautiful and unique experience if you can time it correctly. It's so easy to usually walk on those rides or those attractions because everybody and their brother is on Main Street.
right.
Definitely, I'm not saying skip the fireworks, but if you're like, all right, we saw those on Monday and we're back here at Magic Kingdom on Thursday, like go explore further beyond, or even if you've seen the fireworks in front of the castle on Main Street, which is a very popular, but maybe you're a little more introverted like me and you're like, I'm crowded here. Watching them from Fantasyland, or I think you even mentioned Frontierland as well, over
I
by the Rivers of America. It's such a beautiful spot.
Right. And so that Frontierland spot I wrote in the book, and this was actually something very heavily debated in my family, right?
Okay.
Like I was talking to Dapper mom and dad, and I was talking to Ian, and I was like, do I tell people where the best spot is? Do we give away our secret spot and let them know in the book? And like everybody agreed. They're like, well, write about it and let's see if it makes a difference or see if it makes a change, or the spot might not be there come the change of Rivers of America here in a
Yeah.
couple months. But I think I say it in there, it's that meeting point between Frontierland and Liberty Square, and there's a speaker right there with a perfect view of a docked Liberty Bell all lit up at night, the haunted mansion right there, and the fireworks literally shoot off right behind it, and it is gorgeous. And you have your own loudspeaker right there. You have room to dance around if you want to, or do your own interpretive dance motions to Happily Ever After. And it's great.
One of my fave non-Main Street spots is in Fantasyland, just beyond the carousel as you're heading towards Be Our Guest restaurant. So if you still want to
Oh,
see a castle with your fireworks, you're also very close to where the launches are. So if you want like the big booms,
if you
like
want to feel it,
if you want
right
to
there.
feel, if you want to see like, oh my God, these are right on top of me, that is a great location to do so. I will often do that during like a Halloween or Christmas party
Oh my
night.
gosh, yes. Though
I'm sorry,
that's
I
a
thought
really
of
good
one more.
place to be too. During like the minis Christmas
Mhm.
fireworks, like over in that section. So holly jolly,
Grab your
so fabulous.
cookies, grab your hot cocoa,
Storybook
you're
Circus
set.
is a good place to also get the big booms.
Oh yeah, that's even closer.
I spent quite a few Mickey and Minnie was it Halloween and Christmas parties back there, hanging out with my friends, and the ground shook.
Yeah.
It was a little scary the
You
first
want
time.
to feel it in your chest.
You're gonna feel the
Well,
magic.
and then during the Halloween parties and everything, they do the perimeter fireworks. And
Yes.
so they have the normal
So
spot,
cool.
but then right over there next to Tomorrowland and actually kind of right there in the
Behind
corner
Space
of
Mountain.
that. Oh my gosh, yes, that just shakes the
We
whole place.
in that we would know. I was gonna say, because our break room was in Space Mountain, there would be a sign like you cannot exit the back way for about an hour because the fireworks were right there. It felt like you were in a wartime bunker, like they were shaking right
The
on top
building's
of
already
you.
shaking because the coaster, and now
And
the
then it's
fireworks are
just
making it worse.
it's all going. But like, oh, party night here we are. Well, we do have some little MK like rapid fire questions
Oh no.
if you're up for it.
And I'm sure we'll have some to add in our favorites as well. But yeah, since you love the Magic Kingdom, we want to know some of your favorite things. So I'll take the first one. What is your favorite hidden Mickey in that park?
Oh gosh, see this is such a huge debate, and something that I actually I specifically did not add into the book was topics of hidden Mickeys because that is such a debated topic of
That's its own
conversation.
book for sure.
It literally is. And I want to say one of my favorite hidden Mickeys is the one that's hidden in the jewelry over in the Agrabah Bazaar area, where it's one of there's a little tiny piece of jewelry. It's like if you're heading past the spinning camel, you're heading past the oh, where is it? Magic Carpets of Aladdin, you're heading towards the meet and greet right there. There is a piece of jewelry over in that section. It looks kind of like a little drop medallion, and inside of it, in the little metal pieces, is a hidden Mickey, and that is an official hidden Mickey.
Now, you do a great job with the history of attractions and focusing on opening day attractions specifically. So, we're going to go through each ticket category. Emily has the book in front of her, and she will read the list of attractions. And we want to know, what are you spending each of those tickets on? All right, go ahead, Emily.
Oh,
So you've got one A, B, C, D, E ticket. We're gonna go backwards because that's how you have it in the book. E ticket attractions. It's a Small World, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the Mickey Mouse Review, Jungle Cruise, Tropical Serenade, or Haunted Mansion.
okay. Like as if, okay, now here's the other question though,
Yeah.
is that if I'm picking it for how the attraction is today or how it was in 1971?
You're there in 1971 was my thought on this
Okay.
question.
Then totally Tropical Serenade.
Okay.
Because that at the time, those animatronics, those birds are so impressive, and they don't poop on me or nothing. It's very nice.
Emily, did you have your picks as well? Because I actually did highlight mine at least.
I think for me, I'm going 20,000.
That was mine too.
Just because I've never gotten to ever experience that attraction
allegedly
in
I
any
did it
iteration.
in 94, but I was not very cognizant to remember at that time in my life. So I think I would do 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. We covered the book on our podcast in one of our summer series, and so that was a very special episode to me.
All right, we have D ticket attractions: the Walt Disney World Railroad, Skyway to Fantasyland and Tomorrowland, Flight to the Moon, Country Bear Jamboree, the Hall of Presidents, or Admiral Joe Fowler Riverboat.
I mean, obviously, Country Bear Jamboree. Oh my goodness. Like you probably noticed in there, oh, Danielle writes a lot about country bears in this book. I love the new show, but I really have an appreciation for the old show too.
And the original was like a good 20-minute show. Like it was a show.
Uncut, uncensored. I picked Skyway to Fantasyland Tomorrowland. This is something I definitely remember doing, was maybe traumatized because my dad tried to open the door while we were up there in the sky,
Oh
but
my.
I was like, Dad, stop, no. So I would do that again, but not open the doors because that is not safe.
Courtney, we're the same person.
We are.
I picked that. The tracks. I picked that one at the moment just because it's one again that feels like a fever dream to me, that like I have a distinct memory of riding one of those, and I only went to Disneyland for the first time when I was 30 years old. So I know it happened in Magic Kingdom, but it's like it feels like it never happened, but I know it did. So I would love to ride that again and just be over Magic Kingdom.
Isn't it weird to think that in the two parts, like with the two stations, that they both are bathrooms?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Never thought of that.
Yeah, because you would originally the station would be on
On
top of
top.
where the bathrooms are now, or where and it was bathrooms below. But then to think that years later, all of a sudden it would turn into Rapunzel themed bathrooms, and you're just like, this is just the fate of all Skyliner buckets is just become bathrooms.
No.
That's true.
What do we
Right.
have for C ticket?
C ticket. We have the Grand Prix Raceway, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, Peter Pan's Flight, Snow White's Adventures, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, The Mad Tea Party, and Davy Crockett's Explorer Canoes.
No, I feel like for me personally, it would be, oh goodness, I think the sea attractions is probably the one I would go back to a ticket booth and keep buying more attractions because I love all of these, but I'm kind of leaning towards Peter Pan.
It's a classic.
It is
Right.
classic. I think I was leaning the same, but I'm intrigued by the canoes and the fact that you could go around. Like, I want to be in the water of
Right?
Magic Kingdom and like get to like go around. Like, because I think of Disneyland with their canoes and like that's so cool that you can do that and we can't.
Exactly. I mean, it was literally the exact same concept, and they still like. Of course, you remember the crow races, and like it's basically the same canoes from then. I mean, they're
Yeah.
slightly altered, but yeah, that's the same track and vibe. Oh, that's so sad. I didn't even think about that. That literally just clicked for me. If of America go away, we
No,
lose our crow races for cast
yeah,
members.
Canoe Races of the World or something, I believe is the acronym. Yeah. Wow. Or maybe they could do it at like the Fort Wilderness, like out or back or something. I picked Snow White's Adventures. I feel
No
like I
way
was
is a good
leaning
one.
into nostalgia. I was between that and Mr. Toad, and I was like, both of these are at Disneyland in a way, but
Both
I
of these are
guess
horrifying.
my thought was I love Mr. Toad, but I was like, I would not get rid of Winnie the Pooh. I get it. I love the Winnie the
Right?
Pooh adventure. So I was like, well, it's not an adventure. There's no ride there where that was. Is now Princess Fairy Tale Hall. I picked Snow White.
That's a good choice.
Thank you.
All right, B ticket. The Main Street Cinema, Frontier Shooting Gallery, Mike Fink Keelboats, and the
Mhm.
Swiss Family Treehouse.
I honestly love the Mike Fink keel boats. I think these are so cool.
That was my pick too.
And I don't know. I think it's something about them that I didn't get to go into the history a lot of this, but when Magic Kingdom first opened, right? And the monorail was running, but of course there was only like the two trains. That's barely it. And then they had um the ferries weren't that big yet. And they had one of the parking lot trams would take the road to Contemporary and drop off people at the front because they were just trying to get people across the water. And they took these keel boats and overloaded them with guests. Were they a safety hazard? Absolutely. But I would love to be on one of them. And they took them out of the main waterway and they took them out across Seven Seas Lagoon to be able to get guests and bring them over. And then they lived in the park permanently afterwards. But I think that'd be so cool.
That's a good
Emily.
pick. I think I'm going cinema
Yeah.
because I like the idea of Main Street not just being for shopping. I
Right.
like that there's like an activity to do. We do have that you can meet Mickey and Tinkerbell. Disneyland has great moments with Mr. Lincoln, but I do feel like you need something else that you can do on Main Street that's not just eat and shop.
I
I like
agree.
the idea of having an activity there because I love Main Street. I could sit there all day.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes I'll just walk into Magic Kingdom. I'll only get as far as the hub and then I'm out. I don't even go in any further sometimes.
There for the vibes. All right,
Yeah.
Emily, round us out with a ticket.
An A ticket, you have two options: Main Street Vehicles or Cinderella's Golden Carousel.
That's actually a really hard one. I'm going Main Street Vehicles. I shout
Same.
out to my Main Street cast members even to this day. I just love hopping on those cars and just to the castle, Jeeves, and then just to ride on down Main Street. Such a vibe.
I'm the same.
I went with the carousel actually. I was like, it was a toss up. When you're down to just two, you're like, oh, that just makes it even harder. But I was like, oh, the carousel is so iconic. I know this is Disneyland fun, but like the closing of that sing-along song with the carousel.
You can see it through the
Oh.
gate.
Yes, yes,
through
the
the drawbridge.
vibes. The carousel at night. Closing my night there. All right, you have to stay in one single land at Magic
Oh.
Kingdom all day. What do you pick?
I have to stay in one single land all day. Weirdly enough, I do think it's gonna be Adventureland.
Okay.
Nice.
Like if I had
You
to pick
start there and you're
one,
never leaving.
my Dole Whip's over there. My
Your son is
Skipper
there.
canteens there, my Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse for just the vibes. Again, the vibes. And yeah, I got all my inside locations. I got my skippers to keep me entertained. And then I got pirates and more snacks. I think I'm good over there.
You're set.
Nice. What piece of merch are you a sucker for? Like I'm a sucker for pins. Pins is my thing. So are you a mugs, ears, t-shirts? What's your merch?
Weirdly, well, anything with Orange Bird, but I have to be very particular about it because my followers know and they will let me know if Disney messes up. Like they forget his eyebrows sometimes, or there was once they forgot his tummy for the Flower and Garden merch. I still have not recovered from that. And so I try to be very nitpicky. I would say Orange Bird, but I'm picky with my Orange Bird, or more of a purist, I would say. Or anything that is more resembling of the nostalgia, I guess is
Yeah.
what it is. Like during the 50th celebration when they did all those throwback collections of
Yes,
like
those were
70s
great.
merchandise, that was what I got.
Love that. All right. And then finally, what is your favorite float in the Festival of Fantasy Parade?
Oh my goodness, you're making me choose one of them also. Oh, hold on. I'm thinking for a hot second. I would say the opening one, but here recently she has not been looking that good. So that she gets deducted for that one, I would have to say. I'm gonna say the uh I guess it would kind of be considered the final one with Pinocchio and the Pegasus girls. Love me
It's
my
so
Pegasus girls.
colorful.
It's
Yeah.
so colorful. It's what Festival of Fantasy was when it opened with the balloon girlies and the big top girlies. And I like that. That was Festival of Fantasy was that float and the whole vibe of it.
I started at Disney in 2014. Emily was just behind me at 2015. So like Festival of Fantasy and its prime right there. Big
So
debut.
good.
Exactly. When we had
Well,
Merida, we had the Highland dancers, we had everybody, the Swan Court. Oh my goodness.
It was so good.
as we wrap up here, we have two questions that we usually like to ask our authors in our interview. So what we have first is what is a Disney book that you would recommend we add to our shelves?
Y'all probably already talked about it, but it's Dream Chasing by Bob Weiss,
It's a great
the
pick.
former president of Walt Disney Imagineering, and I got to listen to him talk about this, or I like ask him questions, and I was there listening to him as for like a book signing event, and it was so cool to listen in on him. And he, like, one of the questions that was asked was, how do you deal with change when it comes to the parks and how we have these attachments to some of these attractions and these announcements that come out, seeing that they're being taken away and all this. And Bob's like, you're asking the person that had to create Great Movie Ride and was the one that tore it down.
Oof.
And so, because he was the one that brought in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway
Hmm.
Railway. And interesting to hear him talk about it, because then the next day after heard him talk, they announced that Muppets was going away. And that was the one that shattered me. And I really, hearing him talk and like reading through this and hearing some of his perspective has really put it into perspective for me of that Walt kept moving forward. I have to also.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great pick. I think this is timely for us to give a little plug. Our friend Brett over at Notably Disney, another Disney book podcast, invited us on to we've had back and forth discussion about that book. And then he later got to interview Bob as well. So shout out
Oh,
to
that's so
our pal
fabulous.
Brett. Check out some of his March episodes for that. And then what advice do you have for aspiring authors?
When you're writing and you're creating and you are working with a professional book editing team, right? You are going to pour your whole heart and soul into this book. Don't be afraid of them coming through and slashing and taking out information that you think is special, because overall it you won't, as if you're true to your writing and you're true to what you're putting into the book, the heart is still going to be there, right? Even with people taking out bits for spacing or for consistency or for timeline, who knows. But just don't be disheartened by it. It will all turn out fine in the end. And the book will still be published. It's good.
I really like that. That's such a unique perspective that we haven't heard before. Well, if you'll bear with us a moment, thank you again for your time here. We'd love to let our listeners know what's up next for us, and I think you might like it as well. Longtime listeners of the podcast likely know that Emily and I are graduates of the University of Maryland, and we were delighted to hear that Kermit the Frog was recently announced as the commencement speaker for this spring's graduating class. So, in honor of this occasion, the Muppet 70th anniversary, and as a celebration of Muppet Vision 3D's legacy, in May, we are going to read Before You Leap, A Frog's Eye View of Life's Greatest Lessons by Kermit the Frog. So here is our book's description. Kermit the Frog is back, and he's revised and updated his best-selling memoir with life advice and inspiration for a whole new generation of fans. Just in time for the 70th anniversary of the Muppets, the perfect gift for graduates of any age. And Before You Leap, the world's most famous frog shares in a funny, heartfelt manner about his life and yours. After telling the tale of his humble swamp beginnings, remarkable career in show business, and about all the amazing people and pigs that he's met along the way, Kermit shares his advice on life's milestones. So very delighted to dive into that.
I am thrilled that that's the book you chose because I literally have it on my shelf right over here.
That's great.
And I was looking and I because they're right, the Bob Weiss book and the Kermit book are literally right next to each other. I'm like, do I pick Kermit? I'm like, well, he's a Muppet. I don't know. I'll pick Bob's book.
Oh, we're big Muppet fans.
We're Muppet girlies. We are graduates of a school with a Jim Henson and Kermit the Frog statues. So you are among us.
We always see Muppets together anytime we're in the park as homage to our favorite alumni.
Just made her visit for her
I did my farewell visit
in
March on your birthday.
I came on my birthday weekend.
R.I.P. That's awful.
I wanted to avoid the June crowd. Also, as a teacher, like June is not a time to travel because it's the last 3 weeks of school and everything's just incredibly busy and state testing and AP exams. Bleh. So March was a great time to go. So went through it twice. Courtney and I took lots of pictures. We're going to be sharing those memories on our next episode. But in the meantime, everyone should check out your interpretive dance that you posted that Danielle posted to maybe one day bring back Muppet Vision 3D somewhere.
That was so funny because I had this audio saved and originally I was going to do it with Megan the Magical Millennial. And we ran out of time while we were hanging out just because we were doing so much when she was in town. But then my family came into town and I was like, Clarence, do you remember this video that we watched on YouTube on repeat when this first came out? And he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, do you want to be Swedish Chef? And he's like, I would be honored. So he did the Swedish Chef part. And then I was like, Dad, do you want to make a cameo? And he's just like, yeah, what do I have to do? And I was like, you just have to go, rah, 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 rah. And he was like, yeah, do that. And that was done in one take. I want to be completely honest. That was a one take wonder. And that just shows how much I love Beaker and how well I know that video.
Well, we will let all of our listeners know where we can find that content as well as ours. If you want to keep up with Book of the Mouse Club on Instagram, we are at Book of the Mouse. You can email us with comments or ideas to bookofthemouseclub@gmail.com. Please leave us a review wherever you listen so others can find our podcast and read and listen along with us. You can keep up with me, Courtney, on Instagram at Great Gutsby.
And you can follow me, Emily, on Instagram at Emily_McD. And Danielle, where can listeners connect with you? And of course, most importantly, where can we buy your book?
Pre-order from May 13th.
Oh, yes. So I am over on all the socials, on the Insta spams of the Dapper Danielle, as well as the Ticks of the Talks and the Books of the Faces. I am the Dapper Danielle on everything, even on the U's of the Tubes. And I don't know why I say that, but you know what? Actually, I do know, because when I was a fairy godmother, fairy godmothers didn't know about technology. So we would call it the Book of Faces. Or, oh, you talk to the birds, you use the Twitter system. So we would use code words like that. So yes, it's the Dapper Danielle everywhere though. And then the book is also available everywhere in my link tree, wherever you watch my content. In the very top of my link tree, there's a link that could take you to Simon & Schuster's page. And then from there, you can select if you want Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Amazon, Target, I guess popped up on there the other day. And it's amazing to see this go out, and I can't wait for y'all to read it.
Wonderful. We will include all of those in our show notes here. And then a tradition that we have on Book of the Mouse Club is that our author interviews or our special guests get to close us out with a quote. So what have you chosen for us?
Well, I feel like I need to say my quote, right? That
I
I
think so.
end all my
Sounds
videos with. It
great.
feels only fitting. Well, until next time, night night, sleep tight, dream of churros tonight.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Danielle, for your time today, for sharing all of these fun facts with our listeners.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.
Book of the Mouse Club has no affiliation with the Walt Disney Company. The views and opinions expressed by hosts and participants are theirs and theirs alone. They do not represent the organizations or companies they happen to work for.